now to some breaking news. CBS News has learned that U.S. intelligence believes Iran is preparing a major attack in retaliation for Monday's airstrike by Israel on the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Now, the U.S. has warned Iran in writing not to attack U.S. personnel and facilities. CBS's David Martin is at the Pentagon with these new developments.
Iran's supreme leader held funeral prayers for the Revolutionary Guards killed by an Israeli airstrike, as both the U.S. and Israel braced for a retaliatory attack. U.S. officials tell CBS News Iran is making preparations to launch a swarm of drones and missiles timed around the upcoming end of Ramadan. The target is still unknown, but Israel is reinforcing its air defenses. The ways of retaliating can come from anywhere, including Iran, Israel's defense minister said, and we are preparing to face this matter.
I think Iran will cast about for a relatively vulnerable target, perhaps an embassy somewhere abroad, something like that, maybe a ship at sea.
Retired General and former Mideast Commander Frank McKenzie says Monday's Israeli strike against the Iranian diplomatic compound in the Syrian capital of Damascus was the most significant Israeli attack against Iranians since the war in Gaza began.
It's a very precisely directed strike that took out key leadership, and I think it's hurt them quite a bit.
2 senior generals were among the 7 killed in what Iran considered to be an attack on its sovereign territory. Caught the U.S. as much by surprise as it did Iran, even though it was carried out by an American-built F-35 stealth fighter. The U.S. was quick to disavow any connection.
We were not notified by the Israelis about their strike or the intended target of their strike in Damascus.
Still, Iran has vowed to hold the U.S. as well as Israel accountable, and American troops throughout the Middle East have been put on high alert that they too might be attacked in coming days. Nora?
Situation in Israel. The whole world is watching and waiting to see what Iran is going to do to Israel in the coming hours. Iran has vowed a harsh response to the Israeli airstrike on their consulate in Damascus, Syria, which is basically the equivalent of striking Iranian territory because a country's consulate or embassy is the equivalent of that country's territory. And we have senior Israeli officials saying that the Iranian response could occur tomorrow. And I want to remind you guys that there's a 7-hour time difference from Israel. So it's actually morning time already in Israel right now. So this could all pop off any hour, any minute. And if something does happen, I will go live as long as necessary to cover the situation. But we know that Israel is on high alert. Earlier today, we heard that the Israeli government told all hospital managers in Israel to make sure that they maximize their staff this coming weekend, obviously to deal with casualties from any airstrikes by Iran. And senior Israeli officials say that Israel has indications that Iran may attack Israel from its territory using long-range ballistic missiles, drones, or cruise missiles. This was reported by Walla News. And senior Israeli officials say they made it clear to the U.S. that they will have to respond if they get attacked by Iran. So we're on the verge of a war with Iran, because what's going to happen is Iran is going to strike Israel in the coming hours, and then Israel is going to respond, and then Iran is going to respond back, and it's just going to escalate until the U.S. has to get involved. And then we could be looking at a full-scale decapitation strike on the Iranian military and on their nuclear program. And Iran signed a defense agreement with Russia, so then Russia could potentially get involved and defend Iran, and that could kick off World War III. Okay, so this is a very, very serious situation, and I'm going to be monitoring it for you. And like I said, when this all happens, I will go live. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell down below so you get notified when I do go live. We also have some breaking news coming from Europe. Apparently, Britain, France, and Northern European countries are preparing to send troops to Ukraine. And this was stated by the U.S. State Department consultant Edward Lutwak in a column for Unheard Portal. In his opinion, NATO countries will soon have to send troops to Ukraine anyway. Otherwise, the alliance will be forced to accept a catastrophic defeat. And I've been saying for weeks now that the Ukrainian front lines are on the verge of collapsing. Okay, Russia has been spending the last year mobilizing and preparing for this new offensive, while the West has been dilly-dallying and they haven't been giving Ukraine what they need to win. At the appropriate times, they haven't gotten what they need. That's why the counteroffensive has failed. Russia is in a wartime mode. They're devoting 30% of their budget to their military. This is serious, guys, okay? So very serious. Looks like NATO countries, Britain, France, and Northern European countries are preparing to send troops into Ukraine, okay, because Russia's about to break through the lines and they could push all the way to the Dnipro River and basically take the entire eastern half of Ukraine. And apparently the strike by Israel on the Iranian consulate in Damascus was viewed as an attack on Iranian soil. And as a result, any retaliation would be likely to come from Iran itself rather than Iranian allies, according to a person associated with Hezbollah. This was reported by the Washington Post.
Here, this is a Russian nuclear exercise, you know, in the thick of all of this military activity in Eastern Europe. The Russians, look at this convoy of strategic forces. I'm in the way here. You couldn't see it, but it's a very extensive convoy of military vehicles that are out there right now doing these drills at night that simulate how they're going to fight and win a nuclear war. Today, the Russians vetoed an attempt to sanction North Korea's nuclear program once again. So North Korea is now they're a nuclear power, and there's nothing we can do about it. The world is changing fast, very fast, and just be happy we were the ones that said we told you so, not because, to stroke our own egos. It's really just vindication, because when you're 1%, when you're that one person who's walking in the opposite direction as everybody else in the Matrix, remember that scene where he's saying, these people, most of them don't want to be unplugged? You got to kind of give yourself a pat on the back every once in a while just to know that you're on the right track. And I know 99% that I am on the right track, man. And everything, viscerally in my being is saying that the decisions that I've been making for the last 5 years, yeah, I've used my time well. And anybody who has a homestead, anybody who is out there just learning how to live with less is making the right decision, okay? Everybody who starts a prepper ends up a farmer at some point in time. The Russian church is declaring a holy war. This is big. Patriarch Kirill, the top guy in the Russian Orthodox Church, said the following: from a spiritual and moral point of view, the special military operation is a holy war in which Russia and its people are defending the single spiritual space of Holy Russia. The document released on Wednesday said under the heading of Special Military Operation, which is the official Kremlin term for the invasion. It went on to claim that the war had the goal of protecting the world from the onslaught of globalism and the victory of the West, which has fallen into Satanism. Okay? So they said it, not me. You guys know how I feel about religion. I think it's largely a method of social control. That's not to discount anybody's spirituality and your own relationship with the deity of your choosing. That I greatly respect. And in fact, I do respect religion for its ability to create upstanding citizens. Those type of nice church-going people. I love those people. But sometimes,
Товарищи офицеры.
Садитесь, пожалуйста. Мне важно услышать ваше мнение о том, как проходит эта обстановка, послушать вас, обменяться информацией. Это один из святых вооруженных сил, который хозяин, который был один из наиболее успешных министров обороны Российской Федерации 19 века. Сейчас отпрашивают, да?
Даже по поздновению. Хорошо.